So quite a few weeks ago now, a friend of mine contacted me because he's been clearing a load of stuff out in his house, trying to make space and just get rid of old things he doesn't need. And he asked me if I wanted a load of computer stuff and monitors and bits, and this is basically what he dropped round, and it's all pretty much still been sat here since when it was dumped. And we've got a couple of old flat screens, an old CRT for a PC. This is just a case, but it's an old eMachines PC. And then a box of fairly random stuff in here. I think most of this is actually going to be cables. But I thought I'll give this a bit of a wipe down because some of this is a bit grotty. I think it's probably been in the loft. And I'll take some of this to the bench and have a look what we've got. So, first thing here is this eMachines case. I've not seen one of these for a while, it's still mucky. We'll just give it a very quick wipe. So we've got some kind of front panel, a USB and a 15-pin game port, which is pretty unusual really on the front, but good idea, somewhere accessible. It's an eMachines 330. There's not really anything in this, but it is quite heavy. I'm surprised how heavy it is actually. Screws in it. It doesn't appear to smell of cigarette smoke. There's just a basic micro ATX case. It's got, looks like a smaller form factor of power supply. It's really heavy, but this is quite thick. I think eMachines were a relatively cheap brand, and we've just got fairly basic power connectors. We've got the 4-pin CPU connector, so it's probably sort of a Pentium 4 compatible type thing. A smaller ATX power connector there, no SATA connectors, so it's certainly not particularly new. It needs a bit of a clean really. It's not something that I would personally use myself. I don't particularly like this style of casing, and it's got this rounded top. I think Gateway made some computer cases that were like that. So it's got this sort of arc to the top, and I always found cases like that really irritating because you couldn't properly put anything on the top. It'd always either rock about or fall off. So yeah, not the most exciting thing there. Also got this little monitor. I think this is perhaps a 17 inch. I don't think it's a 19. Oh, it's got one of these sort of I think it's a cantilever type stand, which is quite good really, very adjustable. And I like how you can bring the screen forward so much. Quite well designed. We've just got, we've got VGA and DVI inputs on this one, and it looks like it's got a USB hub built in as well. Let's see if there's a model number. 17 inch 1740, yeah, so it's definitely 17 inch. I'll have to see if that works. So I've just got this hooked up to a test PC. It's got some kind of a swivel thing on the base, which I don't particularly like. It's not very stable, but whether that will focus or not. It seems to be starting up. Let's kill some of the light. So it's 1280 by 1024. Total hours. I've spent a lot of time on, and it looks like, I'm assuming that's counting up. So spent a lot of time in standby by the looks of things. It just needs a good clean. There's no scratches or anything. Sure, that would be useful on a retro system or something because it's quite small and compact, so that's quite nice. It's a bit heavy for what it is, but can't have everything. I've also found accidentally that you can rotate it because it just swung around on me and nearly smacked into something. You can rotate the display into portrait. Not particularly useful as far as I'm concerned for this size screen. And we've got a Samsung here. I'm guessing this is a 19 inch. Again, these both do actually have a bit of a whiff of cigarette to them, unfortunately. That one rotates as well, but the other way. And we've got VGA and DVI on this, and no USB hub by the looks of it. This one's a little bit lighter. got quite a good height to it though on the stand that you can raise it to. There's a power switch on the back somewhere. So I can hear a bit of a noise. A very, very dim screen there. I'd say the backlight's gone on that one. You can just see a box here. Okay, that just completely fooled me. I could see a black line across the screen, all the way across, and then I saw it up to the wall, and I've realised it's actually the grid pattern on the camera screen. There's like a 3x3 grid to help you compose the shots. I was starting to think there was something wrong with the camera screen or the CCD sensor then. What an idiot. But there is a faint box, so the backlight's gone in that, that's why it's a bit screechy and squeaky. Could just be a capacitor, or it could be the high voltage transformer, because this will probably have a small cold cathode tube in it rather than the LED backlit. And then last we've got this lovely heavy CRT. I think this again is particularly big. It'd be 15-inch maybe. Maybe slightly bigger. It's got a nice flat screen. It's very yellowed here. There's actually it's like there might have been a webcam or a stick or something sat on the top here. I don't know if it will show, but there's a white mark. Well, I say white, it's as close as you're going to get for this thing to be white anyway. Now I'm pretty sure that they had this monitor as far back as I can remember. I know they did used to have a more goldfish bowl one with the original 386. As all this came from a friend of mine that I used to go to school with. I see the camera's really enjoying itself trying to record this with a nice rolling line going up the screen. It looks okay on the screen to me, a little bit flickery, but that could be down to the refresh rate. It's a nice picture that. That's not bad at all. So this screen has unfortunately been subjected to a lot of cigarette smoke. You can see it around the button, it's pretty awful. It may be possible to clean it up a bit, it's just the smell that will come from this once it gets warmed up. I used to have a little 15-inch Yamaha monitor that was with my very first PC. And it was still working, I just threw it away because I thought I had no use for it. I do wish I'd kept that now, because that would have been a nice little retro PC screen. It was a flat tube as well. And then we have this pretty heavy basket of various bits and pieces. I'll shove that over in the corner. The first thing here you can see is a couple of zip drives. These are zip 100s. You can probably see from the front there, the zip 100s. I used to have one of these. I don't think these are the original ones. I think these are like a Mark II version. I'm sure the window on the top was different. And I have had a quick look through the box, and I know the power supplies that came with the original one were like a big heavy solid brick. I think they were like a transformer rather than a switch made power supply. So I don't know whether they'll work or not. Unfortunately I don't actually have any discs to test them with now. It's quite how they've designed them to stack as well. That's quite clever. I've also got this Pioneer amplifier receiver type thing. It's apparently it works, but one of the channels doesn't work on it, so that might be a potential for a bit of a repair video maybe, or at least a tear down and have a look inside. I wouldn't say a destructive tear down because there's no point in wrecking it for no reason, but certainly have a look inside, see if there's anything obvious. Needs a damn good clean up as well, and again unfortunately it does seem to stink of cigarettes, but quite a nice little unit if it was cleaned up. I think it might actually look better on camera than it does in person. Now this little wallet here, I'm glad this has come back because I actually lent this to my friend. I think it could have been 10 years ago when I gave this to him. And there's none of these are originals in here, they're all like copied discs, but there's some discs in here of things like Unreal Tournament. Yeah, there's Unreal Tournament there, but there's all the mods and patches and maps and things that I used to use and play on for the original Unreal Tournament. And then I've got like original compilation CDs I made of games that I'd collected. Again, I'm not sure if I've got copies of these original as much as they are original discs or not, so it'll be interesting to perhaps have a look through those, and to get a retro PC up and running, that'll be something to try. I can't really complain about not getting my CDs back, because I actually borrowed some discs off of my friend and hadn't realised that I'd still got them, and it was actually the same day he came around and borrowed these, so it was almost like payback really. I borrowed a load of music CDs off him and I didn't realise I'd got them. And then when he came round and we were looking for these and other things for him to borrow, of course they showed up and he'd already rebought them. And there's a mouse in here, and this is actually an old mouse of mine, and I felt guilty that he'd had to buy them again, so I actually gave him this, although it's rather disgusting looking now, I have to be honest. I gave him this mouse. It was a brand new Microsoft mouse, and about 35-40 quid at the time. But I just didn't like it. It was too big. It just wasn't a mouse that I liked. So I gave him that as a sort of a compensation. And this is that same mouse, but I don't know what's happened to it. It looks like either the rubber's degraded on that, or someone spilt their dinner in it. Either way, it's not very nice. And this has got that. It's not an ergonomic thing, that sort of soft feel to it, and it's, as it always happens with that stuff, it's gone all tacky and horrible, so unless that can be rubbed off now, that mouse is probably scrap. To be fair, the state of it, the bin might be the best place for it. It's awful, that is. Some network cable. Not very exciting, I've got plenty of that already. A bit more, and I shall go through all of these and tie them up properly at a later time. Robert's clock radio alarm of some sort. It's got headphone socket, battery backup. I think it's just an AM FM thing by the looks of it, but it's got 2 alarms. Might be worth a look. The more alarms that I can get going off in the morning, the better. All of this stuff was actually just going to be thrown away as well, although maybe that would have been the best thing for it really. But long SCART cable. This is not something that I would use, and it's, again, what do you do? Do you throw it away? Is there someone that can use that? This looks like it's breakout cable from some kind of sound card. So yeah, that's probably not of any real use now. Probably a sound card that's long gone. Interesting DIN plug connector. That looks very similar to what you'd find on an Acorn. I think it's the mouse port. So it could be worth hanging on to for that. It may be possible to wire it up for use there, make a converter. This particular friend was into his hi-fi stuff, so we've got some really high-end phono interconnect cables here. Yeah. Another SCART cable. Again, it looks like probably a high quality one at the time. Looking at the ends, I'm not sure if it's got a make on it. Doesn't appear to. It looks like a casing for that's been removed. Probably wouldn't have fit into the unit otherwise. Yeah. More SCART cables. I really don't need SCART cables. Don't really need any more cattle leads either, but or computer power cables. That's not even got a fuse holder. At least that's something I could perhaps make use of. It's not some kind of high-end speaker cable, not a particularly long piece. It's probably not much use to anybody. Yet another power cable, and another power cable, and a DVI cable. Yeah, it looks a bit yellowed. I don't know if it shows on the camera, but it's, you know, probably and that's a DVI-D. It's a digital DVI cable, dual link. You can tell. I don't know actually if it is dual link. Can't remember if those middle pins are for the analog VGA or not. But if it's VGA, it will have the 4 pins to either side of that split in the middle there. That little bit that goes across. So that'll be digital of some sort. It's annoying when they don't put the voltages on the side of cases. Another 12 volt one, 1.5 amps. These are all transformer based. Could be potentially used with a zip drive, I don't know. Oh, another absolutely awful Microsoft mouse. Well, I mean, it's filthy, but otherwise it doesn't look too bad. But that wheel again is all yellow and sticky and gungy, so that suggests it's not a dinner issue, it's plastics degrading. Is it a KVM cable? Oh, it's a KVM. Little 2-port KVM switcher, so you can plug 2 computers into one monitor, keyboard and mouse setup, PS2. And that looks like that would be powered from the PS2 ports. There's no external power to that. And usually you just press a key a couple of times on the keyboard and it will switch to the other system, or a key and then 1 or 2 for whichever system you want. Oh, different type of power cable. Mickey Mouse. A very fancy DVI to HDMI cable there. It's like braided in some kind of plastic. That's quite nice, that. Could be useful as well. Yeah, I've actually found something useful in this box. RF lead. Probably for VCR hookup actually. Unlikely that's going to be from the back of a computer. They're normally phono to one of those. It could be useful with one of the retro systems possibly. A battery, what's the chance that that's dead? Oh, here's the housing for that SCART lead. So that could be put back together maybe. It's like an eSATA cable. A long one at that. It's quite a long one. Yeah, so it's just a standard eSATA cable, probably for an external hard drive caddy or something. It's not eSATA P, because eSATA P you get additional power pins. It's the standard phono hookup lead. Micro USB, not very good, a bit squashed, that can go in the bin. I think quite a few things can go in the bin. Motorola phone charger, mini USB, 500 milliamps. I've already got 500,000 adapters, I don't really need any more. USB to USB-B, it's nice and short actually. VGA cable, optical hookup cable. I don't think I've actually got one of those at all, so that might actually be something to keep hold of. Yeah, another phono hookup cable. I think this is a car stereo fascia, but I don't think the rest of it's in existence anymore, so it makes this pretty much utterly useless, because I think they're coded to the unit, so a bit of a shame, but you know, what can you do with it? I wonder what kind of screen it's got inside it. Worth a quick tear down to have a look. That's a Molex 2 6-pin adapter, so that'll be for adapting to a graphics card in a system that doesn't have the appropriate connector. Very exciting. Probably just a bit of speaker cable, I'm assuming that would be for. And you've got one of these indoor FM aerial things that you get. You can set up. Another USB to micro USB mini USB. I always get these mixed up. Again, got plenty of those. Very interesting. Kind of little 3M USB dongle man thing. He appears to have completely lost his head. Some stick-on letters, half of which are missing. Another USB stick, also looking extremely crusty and not very nice. So, yeah, that's it. Not particularly exciting. I don't know whether any of the zip drives work or not. Certainly some of this will just be getting chucked in my e-waste box, and well, when I'm able to go and recycle things again, then that'll get done. Bit disappointing, really. So yeah, the box was a bit disappointing, really, and nothing particularly exciting in there. I'm more excited to get my discs back. I thought they were going to be gone forever. I think the amplifier will be worth taking a look at, try and get that working. And then obviously we've got the monitors, well, two monitors. The CRT, whether I keep that myself or not, probably not, but it seemed a shame that it was going to get thrown away. It was probably going to end up in a skip, so at least now there's a chance I can perhaps find somebody else who does want one and pass it on to them. So I'm going to go and wash my hands and probably wipe the bench down now. So the crate of cables I was looking at the other day, I've been through all them again, cleaned them up, given them a wipe down with some white spirit, and then wipe them down again with sort of water, soapy water afterwards. White spirit's probably not the best thing to use on stuff like this, especially certain plastics. It tends to, well, it can completely destroy some plastics, but I found it really effective for cleaning cables, and I've not had any problems if they've been wiped down afterwards, so that's what I've done. And all this lot's been cleaned and scrubbed up, and a pile of stuff there that's probably rubbish. The mice were as expected, or at least this one is. This is all tacky. Apparently you can get this stuff off with IPA, so that's a possibility, but this wheel is just absolutely ruined. So I don't know if it's going to be salvageable anyway. I don't really know if it's worth it, to be honest, because it's not a mouse I'll use. This one's come up alright. Again, the wheel's no good, but I have got some similar mice with, well, that are broken. I think the buttons are broken off, so might be able to pinch the wheel out, so it might be worth having a look, but I don't know, we'll see. Everything else is cleaned up here. I've cleaned up the two flat screens, even though I know one of them's not fully working. The backlight seems to be playing up on it, so I'll have to have a quick look at that again. I've not done anything with the amp and the CRT. I'm just going to probably bag them up and put them out of the way for the time being, so they don't stink the place out.